What's up guys, Yellow here, and today I'm going to be showing you my Mantis Blades build. This is the build that I did use to clear the game on very hard, and I did mix my Mantis Blades in with the katana, so if you're playing on normal or hard, this build is going to completely carry you through the game. Now, this build does focus on having a very high crit chance and being tanky enough to survive all the encounters where you can just run in and take everyone out. Now, we'll have timestamps below in the timeline in case there's a certain portion of the video that you do want to skip to. Now, I do want to preface this build is very similar to my katana build with just a few slight changes. So, as always, if you enjoyed the video today, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more Cyberpunk content or guides, consider subscribing. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to show you today is how to get a quick pair of legendary Mantis Blades for free very early in the game. If you already have a good pair, feel free to skip ahead to the next portion of the video, but you're going to want to travel to the center circle shown here in Night City, and then run to where I'm at on the map. There's a Cyber Psycho mission here, but even if you don't have access to this mission yet, you can still get the Mantis Blades. You're going to walk into this building here, which is next to the big yellow building on your right, and then right when you walk in, there will be a chest that has legendary Mantis Blades. There is also a Cyber Psycho in here which you can choose to fight, but you can also choose to ignore him and just leave entirely. To equip the Mantis Blades, all you have to do from there is head to any Ripper dock and they'll put them on for you free of charge. Now, as for playing with them, I don't want to spend a ton of time showing what they can do as you've probably already seen it, but the Mantis Blades make you extremely agile and you can jump at the enemy and then slice them up with no issues at all. The blades attack very fast and you can take out enemies instantly. Now, I do want to say the Mantis Blades are one of the best weapons in the game for taking out groups of enemies very fast, and they're also very strong against bosses. However, if you're using this build and you do have a good katana, I will say I feel the katana does slightly better on bosses than the Mantis Blades do. Okay, so now that we've talked about what they can do, let me show you how you want to build your character. You'll see my character stats are currently sitting slightly over 600 health with almost 2300 armor, and my crit chance is around 80% unbuffed. Now, I'm going to show you the legendary Mantis Blades that we got earlier for free real quick, and then we'll talk about gear choices. So you can see right off the bat, these blades give you extra crit hit chance, crit hit damage, and an additional 20% chance to add bleed to the target. Now, bleed will only affect bosses as everything else just dies too quick, and they also have 3 open modification slots to make these blades even stronger. Now, for your gearing choices, it's pretty easy. You want to choose pieces of gear with as many sockets as possible, and preferably pieces of gear that already have legendary mods in them. You can see the chest piece that I chose to wear has 2 sockets, and it even came with a 15% increased crit chance, while my face wear is similar with a 30% crit hit damage mod. For every other piece of gear or empty modification slot, you want to craft armadillo mods if you don't have extra legendary mods. This is simply done by going to the crafting screen and crafting the basic version as shown here. When crafting these, they can't randomly upgrade to uncommon or the rare versions without putting any points into crafting, but if you are wanting the legendary or epic versions of these mods, you will have to put points into crafting. From there, you just want to fill every empty slot that you can with these armadillo mods, and you can see my vest with 4 slots alone has almost 1000 armor. Now, there are much better pieces of gear out there. Most of these pieces I found early in the game or purchased from shops, but with certain pieces of gear, by doing this, you can get upwards of 6000 armor. Alright, so on to the attributes portion. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I think choosing which of these attributes and skills to level up first will be very dependent on the difficulty you're playing on or where you're at in the game. So if you're having trouble surviving, you'll probably want to focus more on the body tree at that time, or vice versa. If the enemies barely hurt you, you can spec more into the reflexes or cool tree. Technical ability and intelligence won't really matter for this build, so let's jump right into the cool tree. The cool tree is surprisingly good, but I'd probably start your melee build initially by focusing on the body and reflexes tree while filling this in when you can. Now, if you want to play stealthy, you can start right off the bat with talents like Crouching Tiger, which increases your movement speed by 20% while sneaking, Strike from the Shadows, which increases your crit chance by 15% while sneaking, and Silent and Deadly, which increases your weapon damage by 25% while sneaking. The other talent you should pick up whether you want to play stealthy or not is Assassin, which increases damage to human targets by 15%. Now, the Cold Blood tree is why I picked up 9 points into Cool. Cold Blood is a talent you pick up which gives you a passive after defeating an enemy where your movement speed is increased. On top of that, you can pick up talents like Will to Survive, which increases your resistances by 5% per stack of Cold Blood, and Defensive Clotting, which increases your armor by 20% for each stack. This means killing enemies actually ends up making you stronger. And finally, you want to pick up Critical Condition to increase the Cold Blood duration. Okay, so now that the cool tree is out of the way, let's talk about the 2 most important talent trees and what talents you want to pick up first. In the body athletics tree, one of the first talents you should pick up is Epimorphous. This heals you up outside of combat, and you only need to put 1 point into it. And another great talent to start picking up early is Invincible. This increases your maximum health by up to 30%. Another talent that I found very useful pretty early was Pack Mule. This doesn't actually make you stronger, but it does increase your inventory capacity by 60. Now, the rest of the talents in the body tree, I'd start picking up later once you've put some points into your Reflexes Blade tree. Those include Regeneration, Steel Shell, Dog of War, Marathoner, and Wolverine. Now, Steel and Chrome is a talent I put points into, however, it didn't appear to increase my Mantis Blades damage or my fist damage, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this talent. It could possibly be bugged at the moment. Once you have enough points in the body tree, there's only one talent in the Annihilation tab I would pick up, and that's Hit the Deck. This increases damage to staggered and knockdown enemies, which will help you immensely on bosses. And finally, the Reflexes Tree. Now, the good thing about this skill tree is I feel all the really useful perks are available pretty early. Roaring Waters, for example, increases your strong attack by up to 50%, which means whenever you use the heavy attack to jump at the enemy, you're typically going to one-shot them. Slow and Steady is another great perk to pick up early, as it increases your armor by 30% on top of all the other armor perks we discussed previously in the video. From there, I'd pick up Sting Like a Bee, which increases your attack speed by up to 30%, and then finally, Blessed Blade. This perk unlocks at level 10 and increases your crit chance by 20%. The other talent I'd pick up when you have some extra perk points is Crimson Dance, which gives your blades an additional 30% chance to apply bleed. In the end, if you end up getting to a point where you get 15 points into reflexes, Judge, Jury, and Executioner is a great talent to pick up. I just felt I never needed to go that far as my damage was fine and survivability was more important. Alright, and finally, the Cyberware. Cyberware is the least impactful or important, but there are still some useful mods out there. If I skip a section, you can just fill it in with whatever you feel works best alongside the build. Let's start off with the Frontal Cortex. There are two mods that I find really useful here. The first is Limbic System Enhancement, which increases your crit chance by 7%. Now, there is a green version of this which requires 9 intellect, and that does increase your crit chance by 15% instead of 7, so if you can spare the extra point, getting 9 points in intellect is worth it. Next is the Visual Cortex support, which increases your crit damage by 15%. From there, we move on to the Circulatory System, where you'll want to have Blood Pump, which instantly restores 70% of your max health, and Biomonitor, which restores 50% of your health when your health drops to 15%. Both of these mods do have a 3-minute cooldown, so just be aware of when they're off cooldown. After that, we have Cattle Resist in the Immune System, which increases all your resistances by 8%. And then in the Integumentary System, you want to use mods that increase resistances and armor, like the Subdermal Armor and Fireproof Coating. While in the Skeletal System, you want to go Titanium Bones to increase your carrying capacity, and Synaptic Signal Optimizer to increase your max health by 40%. Now, there is a legendary version of this mod, but it does require 20 points in the body, and if you do get that, that will increase your health by 60%. And finally, the Militech Berserk mod in the Operating System. This mod is absolutely insane for any melee build, but it does require 18 points in the body, so you will not get this until later in the game. This mod basically increases your melee damage, armor, health, and all resistances for 60 seconds, along with having 3 open modification slots that you can use to increase your crit chance and crit damage. Alright, so that's going to be it for the video today. If you have any questions or thoughts about the build, please let me know in the comments below, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy playing with the Mantis Blade as much as I did, and if you did enjoy the video today, please hit that like button. Again, thank you so much for watching, enjoy your day, and I'll see you next time.